Hello, hi, greetings, etc. It's certainly been a while since I've done one of these videos. It's honestly been a while since I've done any kind of video in regards to talking about video games, which is a thing that I thought I liked to do, but I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. There is one thing I want to talk about, though, and that's, some Final Fantasy related things that were announced a few days ago, I guess. I actually meant to talk about this a little sooner, but my tendency to procrastinate stopped me from doing so until this moment. So, here we are. So, you may have read the title and been like, why is the future of the Final Fantasy VII Remake concerning? Well, I do have my own personal reasons for thinking so, and that is, next gen, which I guess is now current gen. I think we're in... I think... At this point, it's hard to tell if the PS5 and Xbox Series even exist. Perhaps it's all just a rumor floating around the internet, because nobody has one. I don't think anybody has one at this point. Anyway, getting a little bit off topic. So one of the things that was announced was Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which is seemingly a PS5 exclusive, which, as much as there should be more of those, I'd say the PS4 still has a few good years left in it, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 was on PS4, so it would only be fair that the remaining parts would be on there as well, you'd think. Now, granted, this is mostly just an upgraded version of the PS4 game, just with a little added content. They have like a Yuffie story arc, and it is possible that the Yuffie story arc will be included as DLC in the PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, because as you know, even though Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, why am I having so much trouble saying that, included Virgil as a DLC character, but then they also added Virgil as DLC to the PS4 version of the game for $5. So it is possible that the Yuffie story arc will be DLC for the PS4 version as well, but we've yet to get confirmation of that fact. That's just a little theory of mine. But it does bring up a question in my mind, and that is, are the remaining parts of Final Fantasy VII Remake going to be on PS4, or will they all be on PS5 only going forward? I suppose only time will tell, but it is something that is a tad bit concerning. And yeah, I don't know. Just worries me a little bit. Because I know that, sequels to games are often put on later consoles. That is a thing that happens. It's not like every Mario game in existence has been on the NES. I don't even think that would be possible at this point. Obviously, sequels do get put on later consoles. It is a thing that happens, and it is only natural, but I don't consider the parts of the Final Fantasy VII Remake to be so much sequels as multiple parts of the same game. So, to release one on one console and the rest on another console just kind of seems like a dick move to me. Maybe that's just me. And like I said, I do believe the PS4 has a few good years left in it. It actually took the PS3 a while to fully die out. The last game released on it, well, the last major game I know of was Persona 5, and that was in 2017. So, yeah. PS3 survived for a while, so I think it's safe to say PS4 still has a few good years left in it. Now, I don't know how many parts the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be split into. And I don't know how long it's going to take for each of those parts to come out. Considering we haven't even really heard much about FF7 Remake Part 2, there aren't even any actual trailers yet, I imagine we probably wouldn't see hide nor hair of that until next year, possibly even 2023 or later. So that is pretty far off, and I'd say the other parts are very far off as well. So, I do feel like though that at least FF7 Remake Part 2 could be released on PS4, and seeing as though nobody can get a hold of a PS5 right now, the more games coming out on PS4, still the better. Granted, it's not like it's Square Enix's fault that nobody can get a PS5, but surely they know that people are having trouble getting their hands on one of those. I don't know. But at the same time, the PS5 does need more exclusives if it's gonna sell at all. Which, then again, even without games, I'm sure people would be much more inclined to actually buy a PS5 if they could actually get one at the fucking store. But as you know, PS5 restocks are a fucking myth. So, yeah. I just wanted to express my thoughts on that whole thing and how I feel about that. I guess I can kind of see both sides, because I mean, on one hand, I kind of feel like releasing one part of the game on a console and the rest on another is a dick move, but I also understand that the PS5 does need more exclusives. Also, if you're hearing noise in the background, just ignore that. I don't feel like re-recording this if I don't have to. Excuse me. And I suppose there's another thing I want to talk about as well, and that's the alternative Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to mobile. Yeah, there's a mobile remake, and it actually looks much closer to the original. From what I can tell, it seems to be entirely text-based. The sprites just look like upgraded versions of the originals, and it looks like the original with better graphics. Which, ironically, is actually probably what some people were hoping the FF7 remake would be in the first place. I have heard some people calling it a proper remake, which, I mean, you have your opinion, I have mine. more power to you. I will say though that the quote unquote remake that everybody had been waiting on definitely does feel more like a reimagining than a remake, going in a completely different direction, being more action oriented, maybe a little more emphasis on story. Not to say the original didn't have a story, because it did, but there's definitely a lot more plot and character development in the remake, from what I can tell. And as you can see, they're kind of like dragging it out a bit, and just placing like much more emphasis on the story, if that makes sense. Yeah. Whereas the mobile version seems to be closer to the original in terms of just like how it is. And if I had to guess, that particular version of the game will probably end up on Switch at some point, because Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition made its way to Switch. So I imagine this game will as well. That was a mobile game too. So it's a safe assumption that that's going to be a thing that happens. And I guess it would make sense, since the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the PS4/PS5 game, would probably be much harder to port to Switch. I'm not saying it's that they couldn't do it, it would just be difficult to do it. So, and I mean, we've yet to even see a Switch version of the real Final Fantasy 15. We just got Pocket Edition on Switch, so they'll probably be porting the other remake of Final Fantasy VII to Switch instead of the reimagining, as I will refer to it as. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say in regards to that. I just kind of wanted to express my thoughts on these things. Oh, and also there's a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale game now. I'm really not sure how I feel about that. And judging by the the dislike ratio, I don't think too many other people know how to feel about it either. Yeah. Oh, also the mobile game is also gonna include like Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, Crisis Core, other shit like that. And it's all gonna be in the same style. That said, I kind of wonder if it's going to be a playable version of Advent Children. So some of you may know that was originally a movie. I suppose a playable version of Advent Children seems kind of cool, if that's actually going to be a thing. Unless it's just one big cutscene playing out in the style of FF7. I don't know. I got no fucking clue. That is kind of interesting, though. But yeah, it's coming out in 2022, so I guess we'll figure out what's going on then. In the meantime, this is the Gothic Gaming Geek, wishing you a lovely day. Have a good one.